Welcome back to the Malicious Multiverse Lore Explained. As I explained previously, YouTube has taken down some of these episodes due to community guideline miscommunications. They believe that I am a minor. I am in fact an adult. Any videos featuring minors does not in fact harm the minors, as all stunts are performed safely. Now on to Season 3. Season 3 begins with Episode 2 of The Larry and Larry Show. Larry has been transferred to a new facility after the nuke in the last season, and is under the care of Dr. Maybe. It's revealed through his evaluation sheet that Larry had in fact killed his parents when he was a child. He then gets accepted to Dr. Maybe's facility and is given Larry back. The obligation being that he will have fun with Larry, record the videos, and they will make their facility even more popular. Larry gets moved to his new facility, but him and Larry decide that they're not going to be there for very long, and they kill a guard, trying to get as many weapons as they can to escape. They kill another guard with a pencil and attempt to make their escape. Larry would catch up to Dr. Maybe and get his revenge. During Trump's presidency, he would end up living with the Malicious Multiverse gang, but at the end of 2020, he would come to find that he had lost the election. Meanwhile, Larry and Larry would make their escape, but unfortunately, they wouldn't make it very far. I've got him. But to everyone's surprise, though Larry had died, the puppet Larry had lived. It appears that within this universe, if your consciousness and your emotions get poured enough into an inanimate object, it may very well come to life. And that is what happened to the puppet Larry. I want to see Larry! Within this series, we also made another character, Poing Chang Ching Chow, who is a friend of Mr. Wong and is a legit cannibal.
Hi, I'm Hans Grotesque, and I am a super nanny.
In the midst of Jeb's abuse, he would end up quite literally grounding little Jess by literally burying her alive for 12 hours. This would be the final straw for Jess, and she would look to get her revenge. Little Jess would end up murdering the super nanny that influenced Jeb to hurt her. Through everything going on with little Jess, Jeb would end up telling his origin story to little Jess. He had a mother, a father, and a big brother named Jacob. Jeb's father would become an alcoholic and start being abusive. To bond with his father, Jacob would end up abusing Jeb as well. The pain and trauma of everyone going through their addictions would end up leading to everyone abusing Jeb. To everyone's surprise, Jacob would turn out to be gay, and his father Sven would end up kicking him out of the house. A year later, their mother would die of cancer in the boobs. Jacob would visit to say goodbye, and Jeb would offer him a place to stay when Jeb would get old enough to get a home. But things would go the same way they always did, and Jeb would finally snap. Jeb would kill his brother and his father. Jeb would bury the bodies and burn the house down, running away from his sins, eventually meeting Fat Linda, settling down, and having Jen. With Jeb telling his story to her, he would end up asking for forgiveness. And to his surprise,
I forgive you, Grandpa.
their happiness would be cut short, as Fat Linda would call in CPS and have Jess taken into her custody. Linda would dress up Jess like Jeb was when he was a baby, and the cycle of abuse would start once again. Linda would do all of this as revenge for her daughter's death, believing that Jeb was the one responsible. But in the end, Jess would choose Jeb. The next major event in the series would be the COVID-19 pandemic, which in the Malicious Multiverse had evolved into a zombie virus. Our heroes would survive the first 28 days of the virus after getting ripped apart and then respawned. The military would fight back against the zombies and create multiple quarantine zones over the planet Earth that inhabits the Malicious Multiverse. One of the many random skits that take place in the Malicious Multiverse would involve Dr. Phil, and while there's not much lore to happen with Dr. Phil, there is something special here. This is the first time we see an ad for 1-800-CHUNK CHUNK. Keep this in mind, it's going to become very important in the series. In a later random skit, all the members of the Malicious Multiverse would slowly be kidnapped, as they were the ones that initially stopped most of the zombie virus. Along the way to the base, Jeb would attack the helicopter that he was trapped in and escape. Once grounded, Jeb would find Jonathan. Meanwhile, Dell would be tortured. But before they could get any information about the notebook, Jeb and Jonathan would come for the save. The boys would storm the facility, but Jeb would be taken down by zombies. However, during the altercation, Zombie Jeb would make a meal out of the leader. With everyone getting resurrected with the notebook, they would all look to head out. However, the notebook would have other plans starting to vibrate. The notebook would state that second chances don't come often, and in the only time in the series so far, it would allow one character to come back with the vote of the audience watching. The audience could bring back Jack the Janitor, Rose, or Big Jen. The audience would choose Jack the Janitor.
What the
Jeb would be heartbroken not getting his daughter back, and unfortunately Jane could not walk in with Jack. But things were different. While everyone was happy to see Jack again, Jonathan would make it very clear to Jack that if he ever tried any shit again, he'd get put down. Up next would be one of the many fights between Jonathan, Aiden, and Grayson, this one being over a 4-star Dragon Ball. They are still fighting to this day and have not had a conclusive winner. However, this would be the first time we would see a Dragon Ball in the series. Meanwhile, Mr. Wong and Poing Chang Ching Chao would work on a collab. That would be until...
You! What are you doing here, you Asian mother? I'm not the same man I was, Wong. I've changed. Seems like you have as well.
I change when I want to.
After all this time, you break into my home. What, you want to take the Nutella blood out of me again, you freak of nature?
Oh, this time I'm taking more than blood.
More than blood, eh? You know, where were you when Rose died? Your own daughter. You didn't even show up to her funeral. You monster.
I may be a monster, but she made good $5 special.
Now you have to...
See, my culture, we have a thing called sumo wrestling.
You may have sumo powers, Mr. Wong, but I'm naturally fat.
Jeb would get his revenge, but he wouldn't feel content. On top of that, he would be visited by a ghostly apparition of Rose begging him to bring her father back to life. And with this, Jeb would make the hard decision to resurrect Mr. Wong. Wong would still have to get back at Jeb for the fight, though. The next character we meet is an elite salesman for 1-800-CHUNK-CHUNK, that being Dick and Balls. Another character we would meet would be Choxin the paraplegic, who unfortunately had broke his legs in an accident at the town park.
Hi, I'm Toxic Driver, and this is my story.
Son, get back here! Son, no! You fool, get back here!
Let's take a quick side note. As you can see, this is a video of Dale Delphine making his bathwater. Yes, this is real bathwater. See, at the time I went to a youth group, and I wanted to start making some videos in the youth group, which, as some of you will know, led to some terrible, terrible things. But, in particular, this one. Dale Delphine making his bathwater, going in there as character, and trying to sell said bathwater. And then this happened.
Will you drink it or not? Oh my god!
Hey, go record over there.
With many points of views within the Malicious Multiverse, you can also see another side, this being Chandler and Ross in Zombie Survival Guide. And now for a side note on one of the greatest series of all time, this being Cracker Negro. It all begins when a man named Cracker goes to a church. He is seeking to do something very interesting, resurrect the dead rapper, Tupac. On his journeys, though, he meets another man, a man named Negro. Negro is hungry, and Cracker tries to give him some food stamps. But Negro is so poor that he can't even afford food stamps, even though they're supposed to be free.
I call upon the food stamp gods. Feed me! Ah! Yes! Food!
Negro would want more food, but Cracker would not suffice, and this would begin the greatest battle of all time.
We may be unequal, but we're equally matched.
It would be revealed that Cracker had a power, something known as the Privilege Beam, which he would use to win the fight. After the brutal fight, they would both agree to instead work together to resurrect Tupac. The two of them would go back to Cracker's home, and they would discuss bringing back Tupac. Knowing that there was a magical notebook out there, after hearing word about it, they would try to go and get it in order to resurrect Tupac. During the conversation, Negro would go to say the N-word, but pronounce it differently, When questioned about it, he explained that he could not use the N-word, where he would reveal his backstory.
Hi.
Negro would show up to the door of an orphanage where he would be led in by a white family. It was here that he would meet his foster brother, Joshua!
Another one of these?
The family, being racist, would abuse Negro. Negro would turn 18 to get kicked out of the house. Finally, after everything, he would snap on his foster parents.
Bring it on, you pint-sized white privilege, overeaten mother trucking.
When using the N-word, Negro would destroy a 1-mile radius.
Oh, God.
The trauma of this,
Oh,
losing
God.
the only family he had, would cause him to never say it again.
They're all dead because I said the N-word. They're all dead because I said the N-word.
And with this, they would go to break into the house of the Malicious Multiverse. In the struggle, a single page from the notebook would rip out. They would use this paper to bring back Tupac. The Time Police would attack, as Tupac is never supposed to return. However, the two of them would be saved by none other than Tupac. This is exactly what we need to bring him back to life. The boys would be forced to go on the run. With Tupac being known to be alive, everyone would go after him, trying to take him out once and for all. But to their surprise, they would be surrounded by none other than Adolf Hitler. He would initially want to take out Tupac and Negro, being the racist man he is, but seeing Cracker as the perfect white man, would actually decide to help out Cracker, letting him live. And to be nice, he would let Tupac and Negro get a few minutes head start to escape. They would escape, and fortunately for them, Negro being the perfect pickpocket, would actually be able to get the piece of the notebook back together, as that was used to bring back Hitler. The question was, though, who brought back Hitler? Well, Negro would find out when he would see the handwriting.
Joshua!
Hitler would begin his march on the world once again, starting the Holocaust 2.0. Negro would strike the compound, using the piece of paper to bring some of the greatest black icons of all time. Bill Cosby, Juice WRLD, and Martin Luther King Jr.
I have a dream. Sometimes violence is the answer.
Joshua would reveal himself.
Joshua!
You took everything from me.
Joshua!
The people that Negro had brought back were starting to die off the same way that they had died before. Meanwhile, Negro would defeat Joshua once and for all.
Oh my! You stupid white person!
It is time to die, Pop!
White privilege being!
If I die, it is by my own hands.
With the death of Hitler, it was confirming their suspicions. Everyone that they brought back would end up dying the same way they had died before, bringing true sadness and utter fear for the death of Tupac, only for the biggest reveal of all time. I never died.
Biggie's dead. I killed him. And I his wife. You know, I'm thinking about doing country music. I'm Tupac! I'm Tupac!
But, Tupac? Where are you going?
And with that, the boys would rebuild Cracker's house and try to start an anti-racist foundation. Now, in a strange bit of lore, we would go to Dateline NBC, where we would learn the story of Caillou. Yes, the Caillou, within the Malicious Multiverse. Turns out that in this universe, Caillou snapped, murdering his family as he was used for cartoons and reality TV.
Hi, Lester Holt. I'm Caillou. Let's play outside, Rosie.
Caillou would be arrested and shot within the throat, in need of wearing a respirator. He would then be sent on a Dr. Phil show.
Yeet!
Caillou would find a way to sneak a gun onto the Dr. Phil show and make his moment to strike. The crossovers wouldn't stop there, as Caillou would be found texting minors.
Anyways, I'm Chris Hansen, and this is How to Catch a Predator.
With so many characters living in my house, it would be revealed that Caillou ended up sneaking into my house and was living there. They would end up using Tard as bait to lure in Caillou. Caillou would be caught, but naturally, with living in the house, he would end up finding the notebook. Dick and Balls would lunge at Caillou to take the notebook, but instead, the notebook would take him. Dick and Balls would accidentally touch the timeline page, and due to that would become a time traveler to have his own series. Caillou would use the notebook to escape and go into his own hell to torture his family for eternity. Meanwhile, Dick and Balls' series would begin. The notebook would leave with him and send him back to the day of his parents' death. In a turn of events, Dickens' youth happened in the 1940s. Due to having all the money for Botox, he had been alive for so long, and the money would keep him going. However, you couldn't say the same for his parents back then.
Mary, no!
Don't ever try to be a hero, boy. Dick and Balls would request the notebook to take it wherever it wanted him to go, as he felt like it was trying to communicate to him. And communicate it did. The notebook would show Dickens the day that the Malicious Multiverse was opened. The notebook would then show Dickens Jen's death. Dickens would question the notebook as to why it lets people stay dead and not come back after certain deaths. It would then teleport him to June 25th, a month before the Malicious Multiverse opened, where Jonathan would be surprised to see Dickens, and shocked to see someone with his own face. Dale would end up talking about the notebook in front of Jonathan, sparking Jonathan to get the idea to create a notebook in the first place. Thus the big reveal: Jonathan is the creator of the notebook. Though it was created in the beginning of time, he alone influenced it. Dickens would confront Jonathan and reveal the truth to everyone, that Jonathan had control over who lived and died the entire time and simply let people die. Naturally, Jeb would erupt in rage and be upset at the loss of both his girlfriend and his daughter. Everyone else would be enraged as well, but Jonathan would snap his fingers, pausing the very timeline itself. Jonathan would plead his case, stating it was the only way for all the characters' stories to progress right, that if they knew the truth, then things wouldn't progress correctly, people would come back to life, others would stay dead, the timeline itself would break. This, however, would not be good enough for Dickens, who would look to finish the job, look to take out Jonathan. All he had to do was get in one punch. With one punch, Jonathan would lose a part of control with his characters, and due to this, would fully use the power of the notebook to erase everyone's memories of Dick and Balls. Furthermore, he would send Dick and Balls to the Malicious Multiverse hell.
Who are you?
I'm Samuel the Simp.
I'm Hobbs the Extreme Cheapskate. Hans Grotesque, Super Nanny. This is hell. You're all the villains of the story.
We're no villains. We're the saviors of the Malicious Multiverse.